So, dude, last time I was on, I was just about to go to Venezuela, and that was insane. I went and embedded myself in the protests there. Holy shit, is the media lying about that too? And then
What are they lying about?
They're, Vice is on the ground acting like badasses. They're embedding themselves in the protests and being like, look at these fucking awesome dudes. It was basically fascist mobs tried to lynch us, and we got chased out of the country, and then our colleague got shot because we dared to tell that the death toll that we kept hearing in the mainstream media, that Maduro's mowing down all these protesters. We found out that the majority of the deaths were actually caused by the protesters, like either shooting people, lynching people alive, burning them alive, or doing these giant road blockades where they would light giant flaming piles of trash and people would be, flying off the freeway or getting in accidents and shit. And so once we just reported those facts, then this lynch mob came after us. It was very, very scary. And look, I mean, the media is lying about the popular support that Maduro's government has. There was massive pro-government rallies there, and the country's pretty divided, where it just depends on who you talk to.
So what is Vice doing over there?
I mean, Vice is an imperial arm. Everyone should check out my brother's documentary called
Vice is an imperial arm?
Oh, dude, 100%. Of the U.S. government.
Shane Smith's an imperial arm?
Shane Smith welcomed Obama and Biden into their office, and they were like BFF, dude. The COO of Vice was like Obama's like spokesperson. I mean,
good friends with Shane. I know him. I know him very well.
I mean, Vice
I guarantee you he's not an arm of the imperial government.
I'm saying they're lying.
They're lying.
They're lying.
Okay.
The line, not lying.
The line.
Because
the line.
Look, I think Obama and Biden are war criminals, so I don't think it's cool as a journalist to not challenge power. And so when you invite these people into your office and are really buddy-buddy with them, I'm offended by that.
You're such a radical lefty. I love it.
I mean, it's true.
I think Obama and Biden are war criminals. Even other lefties
Absolutely.
Everybody's like, even the lefties are like, what the fuck?
Absolutely. Drone King, babe. Drone King.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of drone deaths.
But check out A Very Heavy Agenda. My brother's documentary just goes over kind of a lot of stuff about Vice. But I think the problem that I have with Vice is just like the problem that I have with all other corporate media. Like we were saying, there's always a line that's uniform that basically promotes the U.S. empire and promotes American exceptionalism. So
clearly, you've never watched Fuck That's Delicious.
No, what is that?
It's the best show on Vice. And Eddie Wong's World. Those two.
Bronson.
What's that?
And Action Bronson.
Action Bronson is Fuck That's Delicious. That's his show. You know who Action Bronson is, the rapper?
Oh, yeah. I haven't watched it.
Never had a human being come in the studio and smoke more weed. Never seen anybody smoke more weed.
He was just smoking weed here?
He just nonstop. We had an ashtray that we took photos of it afterwards. Like, this is how much weed Action Bronson smoked while he was on the show. I just ran into him the other day at the UFC. He smoked like, how many joints? 10 joints? Easily. Big ass joints. Big fat boys. Just puffed him down to the nub. And we were Jamie and I were stunned. We're like, how does he keep going? That's on Vice too. So
Vice does have a lot of good shit. That's the problem. Is that when it comes to coverage of foreign policy, I think they really miss the boat.
Well, I think
but then they're good on like
big.
That's the thing. It's they'll accept. It's like anyone can kind of submit. It's kind of like Huffington Post. It's like a huge tent.
I think they have a hard time filtering everything out. I think they've gotten, they were this radical sort of like upstart where people hadn't heard of them before and they were doing wild shit and they had some really cool videos like the Guide to Travel, and they did that thing where they went to Liberia and they met with General Butt Naked and he's explaining about eating children and cutting their hearts. Fucking insane. So that was all Shane. I mean, Shane did a lot of that stuff. That was the early days.
That's all great, but that's I appreciate that kind of style of journalism, but I feel like what's missing is the context behind it. Like, just Vice will go to like India and be like, "Fuck, this is fucking nuts," and you're like, "Well, why is there this massive disparity in equality and stuff?" So it's a different style of journalism, but I do think that they really missed the boat on Venezuela, Russia, and Ukraine, and some other things when it comes to covering global conflicts, because that's just the problem with a lot of journalism and corporate media in general, is that you're towing a line because you're an American. Just like we were talking about Israelis. I mean, you have preconceived notions, you have your own bias, you have your own ethnocentric lens about world issues, so it bleeds over into those conflicts. And unless you're like an internationalist, can you see the world from a different lens? But when I was on the ground in Venezuela, I was like, this is not what we're seeing.